From Vermont Public, this is The Frequency. I'm Mitch Wertlieb. It's Friday, February 14th, and here are today's headlines. A lawsuit filed in federal court Tuesday accuses a Burlington police officer of using excessive force during an incident last summer. On August 11th, Officer Corey Campbell responded to reports of, quote, tumultuous behavior on St. Paul Street. Isaac Jolie Coughlin, in the complaint, said he was trying to de-escalate a fight. But the lawsuit says when Jolie Coughlin backed away from the situation, Campbell grabbed him and slammed him to the ground and broke his wrist. Mayor Emma Mulvaney-Stanek told reporters at a press conference yesterday the city reviewed the incident and determined Campbell did not violate the department's use of force policy.
The city intends to review the plaintiff's allegation and respond accordingly, as we do with any lawsuit, through our normal course of court proceedings.
Jolie Coughlin's attorney declined to comment. Vermont's senior Senator Bernie Sanders has introduced new legislation aimed at lowering credit card debt for Americans. The bill would put a 10% cap on credit card interest rates, aligning with President Trump's campaign promise to institute a temporary cap. On Vermont Edition this week, Sanders said he does not believe Trump will follow through on a lot of his campaign promises, but he says the president is working to ensure this one is fulfilled.
He said that right now you have people who are listening to this show who are struggling economically, paying off the minimum that they can on their credit cards, and then are looking at a 20-25% interest rates on the credit card. And that's just usury. That is outrageous. And the credit card companies of Wall Street make huge amounts of money.
Sanders co-introduced the legislation with Republican Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri. The Environmental Protection Agency will inspect cleanup efforts at a Bennington Superfund site this year as part of a regular review process. The Burgess Brothers landfill operated from the 1940s to the 1970s. The site is contaminated with toxic chemicals, some of which were used in dry cleaning. And the Carbide Corporation disposed of more than 40,000 drums of hazardous waste there, including lead sludge from making batteries. The EPA will survey the cleanup effort, which capped contaminated soils and created 2 trenches for trapping toxic groundwater. New Hampshire farmers can get paid to pause mowing on their hayfields in early summer through a program run by the Bobolink Project. The project is aimed at protecting nesting grassland birds like bobolinks, which like to raise their chicks in large open landscapes. Project coordinator Hyla Howe says as native prairie lands have been developed, bobolinks have adapted to breed in New England's hayfields.
But that kind of presents a problem because haying often coincides with the critical windows of the breeding season when these birds are on their nests, incubating and feeding young that can't quite fly yet.
With money from donations, the project pays farmers for the cost of delaying their first cut of hay until mid-July or leaving their fields alone between late May and late July. Applications are available at bobolinkproject.org. And Vermont band Phish has made the short list of nominees for induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The quintessential jam band formed at the University of Vermont in the late 1980s and developed a loyal fan base outside of New England soon after. They're best known for long improvisational sets during shows. This marks the first time Phish has been nominated to join the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Coming up, members of the Green Mountain Chorus do something special on February 14th, singing to some fellow Vermonters for a Valentine's Day gift. We'll hear some literal love songs after this.
Thanks for listening to The Frequency, where support comes from VITA, supporting business growth and innovation in the Green Mountain State. From agriculture to manufacturing, energy to food production, find solutions that turn your business dreams into reality. Visit VEDA.org and see how VITA can help make it happen.
If you're celebrating Valentine's Day, you might be tempted to show your affection with candy, flowers, or a card. And those are great. But what if your gift could really sing, like literally? Vermont Public's Brittany Patterson reports on Vermont's very own Singing Valentines.
And I love kind of is long, right? We got dotted 3/4 here.
It's the Tuesday before Valentine's Day, and the pressure is on for the 4 men standing in the library of the St. Francis Xavier School in Winooski. They're members of the Green Mountain Chorus, Vermont's oldest barbershop ensemble. For 78 years, they've performed all over: baseball games, schools, senior centers, birthdays. And for the last few decades, on Valentine's Day, quartets of chorus singers have fanned out across the northernish part of the state, serenading often unsuspecting Vermonters in offices, homes, restaurants, and even on the street.
Let's try it. All right. Jesus hates a coward. Heart of my heart, I love you. Life would be naught without you. Light of my life, my darling, I love you. I love you. I can forget you never. From you I ne'er can sever. Say you'll be mine forever. I love you. Okay.
Yeah, that sounded good.
That was Clem Trammell singing lead or the melody, Matt Ballou singing tenor, or as Clem calls it,
The sparkle part.
David Foster is on baritone,
He makes us all sound good.
and Steve Pierce, who has only been singing with the chorus for a month, is singing bass. Or
The foundation.
for $50, $25 if you want to send a singing valentine over the phone, the quartet will sing 2 songs. Recipients also get a box of Lake Champlain chocolates donated by the company and a card. 10% of the proceeds are donated to the Committee on Temporary Shelter, or COTS. They dress to impress, Ballou says.
Yeah, the best part, we show up in white tux. All 4 of us are in white tuxedos.
Yep, and reasonably groomed.
As of Tuesday, the group had 45 requests for singing valentines, and they expected that number to grow. Trammell has sung with the chorus for 18 years. He's seen lots of different reactions from valentine recipients.
We get everything from embarrassment to and more embarrassment.
Yep,
with the
embarrassment, tears, super enthusiasm.
But mostly, people are moved.
Many people who just are so touched, they just cry because it's so comforting to them.
David Stonecliffe is the chapter's president. He lives in Barrie and has been a member of the chorus for almost 2 decades. He loves participating in singing valentines.
It's great. I look forward to it every year. It's a chance to be with my brothers and sing, and it's a chance to meet people, and it's an opportunity to touch their hearts, and that's wonderful.
It's something different, right?
Michael Summers has for years sent a singing valentine to his staff at his chiropractic practice.
It's outside the box, and it's more than just a flower that's going to wither away. It's more than a card that'll get thrown away. You know, it's an experience and an impression that it's going to leave on our staff, and it's going to fill them with joy and happiness throughout the day.
And on Valentine's Day, who doesn't want that? For Vermont Public, I'm Brittany Patterson.
Let me call you sweetheart, I'm in love with you. Let me hear you whisper that you love me too. Keep the love light glowing in your eyes so true. Let me call you sweetheart, I'm in love with you. With you.
Bravo. That's amazing.
And we'll stick with the Valentine's Day theme as we bring you our weekly sports report. And it is fitting because of the off-season courtship between infielder Alex Bregman and the Boston Red Sox, which has at times resembled the will they, won't they of a classic rom-com. At least for those of us who always believed these two would eventually get together, and now they have. Ending weeks of speculation and hand-wringing in Red Sox Nation, Cupid's arrow has finally found its mark with Boston inking Bregman, the most high-profile free agent player left on the market, to a 3-year, $120 million deal that, at least on paper, has the Red Sox in great position to get back to the playoffs for the first time since 2021. Fun fact about the 31-year-old Bregman, he was actually wooed many years ago by the Red Sox, drafted by the team out of high school in 2012, but Bregman perhaps felt he was too young at the time to enter into a long-term commitment with Boston and decided to play college ball at Louisiana State University instead. He was then scooped up in the 2015 draft by the Houston Astros, where he spent his entire 9-year pro career up until now. So what are the Red Sox getting in this on-field marriage with Bregman? Well, for one thing, a much-needed right-handed bat that can balance out their lefty-heavy lineup, and a former Gold Glove third baseman who will probably switch over to second base because the Sox already have all-star Rafael Devers at the hot corner. Bregman doesn't have much experience playing second, but the transition shouldn't prove too difficult, and Red Sox manager Alex Cora, who knows Bregman from managing the Astros in 2017, has expressed confidence he can take over at a position that's been pretty much an infield black hole for the Red Sox for the past few seasons. Bregman is not quite the player he was in his 20s, and he ended last season in Houston with a .260 batting average, but that included 26 home runs and 75 runs batted in. Meanwhile, his numbers at Fenway Park are terrific. He's hit 7 home runs in 21 career games there to go along with a .375 batting average and 15 RBIs, and he should be able to put a lot of dents in the Green Monster for Boston this season. The two-time All-Star also won a pair of titles during his time with the Astros, and that kind of championship know-how should be an asset in Boston's clubhouse. And the length of the contract should please fans as well. Bregman was reportedly looking for a long-term deal of at least 6 years, but at 31 years old, the Red Sox were reluctant to commit that much time to a player whose very best years are behind him. The $120 million price tag is steep, but given that the Red Sox were among the suitors who said they were willing to pony up hundreds of millions to land the big fish the Mets ultimately hooked in outfielder Juan Soto, this is a relatively decent price to pay for a very good player that fills a big hole that was looming in Boston's lineup. Spring training can't begin soon enough. Had Bregman and the Red Sox not gotten together, I would have started the Sports Report with showing love for an awesome first game from the Four Nations Hockey Tournament debuting as a substitute for the NHL's All-Star Game this year. The league is staging a round-robin tournament with its best players from 4 countries, the U.S., Canada, Finland, and Sweden. Each team gets 3 points for a regulation win, 2 for an overtime victory, and 1 for a regulation tie. After everyone plays one another, the top 2 teams will ultimately compete for the championship. Canada needed overtime to defeat Sweden at Montreal's Bell Centre Wednesday night, getting the game winner from Mitch Marner of the Toronto Maple Leafs. But credit the Swedes for putting up quite the fight, rallying from deficits of 2-0 and 3-1 to force the extra frame when Joel Eriksson-Ek of the Minnesota Wild scored late in the third. The best player on the ice was one the Canadian team wasn't even sure would be able to suit up, and who just happens to be among the greatest of all time. That would be veteran Sidney Crosby of the Pittsburgh Penguins. He'd been scratched with an injury from a couple of Pens games right before the tournament began, but he was cleared to play and had primary assists on 3 of Canada's 4 goals. You really should tune in to watch any game Canada plays, if only to see the future Hall of Famer skating on a line with the current best player on the planet. That would be Connor McDavid of the Edmonton Oilers, not to mention the outstanding Nathan MacKinnon of the Colorado Avalanche. The talent level in this tournament is simply off the charts. The only sour note from the opener was an injury to Team Canada defenseman Shea Theodore, who plays for the Vegas Golden Knights. Next up for Sweden is a face-off against Finland on Saturday, and it should be a thriller when Canada skates for the first time against the U.S. tomorrow as well. No love lost there, on or off the ice, if the booing by Canadian fans at several games where the American national anthem has been played is any indication. And in the NBA, the Boston Celtics are heading into the league's All-Star break on a high note, having won 7 of their last 8, including a 116-103 win over a San Antonio Spurs team that recently acquired All-Star point guard De'Aaron Fox from the Sacramento Kings to play alongside 7'3" phenom Victor Wembanyama. Jason Tatum double-doubled with 32 points and 14 rebounds in that victory, and Boston's own big man Kristaps Porzingis added 29. Thanks for showing your love by listening to The Frequency today. We had additional reporting from Liam Elder-Connors, Michaela Lafrac, Adia Golston, the New England News Collaborative, and Mary Engish. Our executive producer is Kevin Trevelyan, and our music is by Blue Dot Sessions. I'm Mitch Wertlieb. Talk to you soon.
Each morning, it's a new opportunity, a chance to start fresh. Up First from NPR makes each morning an opportunity to learn and to understand. Choose to join the world every morning with Up First, a podcast that hands you everything going on across the globe and down the street, all in 15 minutes or less. Start your day informed and anew with Up First by subscribing wherever you get your podcasts.